Today's story is from Japanese myth folktales, so let's start. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled among the mountains, there lived an elderly bamboo cutter named C.F.R. C.F.R. was known throughout the village for his gentle heart and skilled hands. Every day he would venture into the bamboo forest to cut bamboo, which he would then craft into beautiful baskets and other items. He lived a peaceful life with his wife, Kaguya, but they had no children. And this was their only sorrow. One bright morning, as C.F.R. was wandering through the bamboo forest, he noticed a strange glowing bamboo stalk. The light was soft, yet it shimmered in the morning sun like a star. Curious, C.F.R. approached the glowing bamboo and decided to cut it down. As he sliced through the stalk, he was astonished to find a tiny, beautiful girl inside, no larger than his thumb. The little girl was dressed in the finest silks, and her skin was as pale as the moonlight. She looked up at C.F.R. with bright, intelligent eyes. Overcome with wonder, C.F.R. gently lifted the tiny girl from the bamboo stalk and brought her home to his wife. The elderly couple, who had longed for a child for so many years, were overjoyed. They decided to name the girl Kaguya, which means shining princess because of her radiant beauty. To C.F.R. and Kaguya, Kaguya was a blessing from the heavens. From the moment she came into their lives, their home was filled with laughter and love. As the days passed, something extraordinary happened. Kaguya began to grow rapidly. Within a few months, she had transformed from a tiny child into a lovely young woman, full of grace and charm. Kaguya was not only beautiful, but also kind-hearted and wise beyond her years. The villagers soon learned of her beauty and began to speak of her as a princess from the heavens. News of her charm and elegance spread far and wide, reaching even the most distant lands. Many noblemen and princes from across the country traveled to the village to ask for her hand in marriage. Despite the numerous suitors, Kaguya showed no interest in marriage. She valued her freedom and wished to stay with her beloved parents, C.F.R. and Kaguya. However, the suitors were persistent and would not take no for an answer. To avoid hurting their feelings, Kaguya decided to set each of them an impossible task, promising to marry the one who could complete it. The first suitor was a young prince who was known for his bravery. Kaguya asked him to retrieve the legendary stone bowl from the Buddha of India, a treasure said to be impossible to find. The prince set off on his journey, determined to win Kaguya hand. However, after months of searching, he realized the task was impossible and returned empty-handed, deeply disappointed. The second suitor was a wealthy lord who prided himself on his wealth. Kaguya asked him to bring her a branch from the mythical tree that bore jeweled fruit. The lord spared no expense in his search, sending ships and men across the seas. In the end, he returned with a fake branch adorned with artificial jewels, hoping to deceive Kaguya. But Kaguya, wise and perceptive, saw through the ruse and rejected his proposal. The third suitor was a learned scholar, known for his knowledge of the ancient texts. Kaguya asked him to find the robe made of fire rat fur, a mythical garment that could not be burned by fire. The scholars searched through countless scrolls and manuscripts but could find no clue as to where such a robe might exist. In the end, he too failed and had to abandon his quest. With all her suitors failing to meet her challenges, Kaguya remained at home with her parents, happy and content. However, as the years passed, Kaguya began to feel a deep sadness within her heart. She spent long hours gazing at the moon, her eyes filled with longing. C.F.R. and Kaguya noticed the change in their daughter and grew concerned. One night, as they sat together under the starry sky, Kaguya finally revealed the truth. She told them that she was not of this world, but a being from the Moon Kingdom. Many years ago, she had been sent to Earth as punishment for a transgression she had committed. But now, her time on Earth was coming to an end, and she would soon have to return to her true home. C.F.R. and Kaguya were heartbroken at the thought of losing their beloved daughter. They pleaded with Kaguya to stay, but she explained that she had no choice. As the day of her departure drew near, Kaguya spent her time with her parents, cherishing every moment. The villagers, who had grown to love her, were also saddened by the news of her departure. They gathered outside her home, hoping to catch one last glimpse of the shining princess. On the night of the full moon, a radiant light filled the sky. A chariot made of clouds descended from the heavens, carrying celestial beings from the Moon Kingdom. The beings were beautiful and otherworldly, their presence filling the air with a sense of awe and reverence. Kaguya, dressed in her finest robes, stepped out of her home to meet her fate. She turned to her parents, tears in her eyes, and thanked them for the love and care they had given her. She embraced them one last time, promising that she would always watch over them from the heavens. With a heavy heart, Kaguya stepped into the chariot, and the celestial beings began to ascend back to the Moon Kingdom. As they rose higher and higher, Kaguya radiant light grew fainter and fainter, until she was just a distant star in the night sky. Tagtori and Kaguya stood together, watching the sky until the light disappeared. Though their hearts were heavy with sorrow, they knew that Kaguya was returning to her true home. From that day on, every time the full moon appeared in the sky, the villagers would gather to remember Kaguya, the shining princess who had brought light and joy into their lives. And even though she was no longer with them, her spirit continued to shine brightly, a beacon of love and hope in the night.